There is someone like this in every room. They don't talk much. They don't argue. They don't explain themselves. But something interesting happens. When they walk in, everyone around them, without realizing it, starts acting a little more carefully. Nobody can fully explain why, but everyone feels it. So are these people truly calm? Or are they simply seeing more than you are?
Today, we're going to talk about exactly that. And the answer will surprise you.
9 a.m. The company's biggest client is waiting in the meeting room. Half the presentation is gone. The system crashed. The assistant is shaking at the door. The manager is yelling on the phone. There's someone sitting in the corner. They didn't speak. But while everyone else was talking, they were watching other things. Whose voice is rising?
Hey!
Whose hands are trembling? Who is trying to escape responsibility? 5 minutes later, they stood up. Ready. Just 2 words. And the room went silent.
How did 2 words stop the entire room? The answer is in a much deeper place than you think.
This person wasn't smarter. They weren't more experienced either. But they were observing, while everyone else was just reacting. And being able to observe under pressure changes everything. We've always been told, staying calm under pressure is a personality trait. Some people are just born that way, naturally composed, naturally unshakable. But research doesn't show that. Calm under pressure isn't a trait, it's a skill, a practiced response. And more importantly, it has an origin. The people who do it best, most of them learned it somewhere they never wanted to be. So what did they pay to gain this ability? Because it didn't come for free. It never does. Here's what nobody tells you. Behind this calm is a past that most people couldn't even imagine. And once you understand that past, the way you see these people will completely change. When pressure hits, the brain does something very specific. The amygdala, the brain's threat detector, fires. Cortisol and adrenaline flood the system. Heart rate spikes, vision narrows, thinking becomes reactive. This is the stress response. It was designed for survival. The problem is, most modern pressure isn't a physical threat, a difficult conversation, a failing project, a public mistake. And the stress response doesn't distinguish, it just reacts. But something different happens in people who stay calm. The amygdala still fires, but the prefrontal cortex steps in, the brain's center for planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. And this center asks one single question: is this actually a threat, or is it just uncomfortable? Being able to ask that question, that's where everything changes. But who taught them to ask that question? Nobody. They had to learn it, without even realizing it.
Now you are that person. Someone is coming at you unfairly, in front of everyone, voice raised, face flushed.
The people around you are watching, waiting for your reaction. 3 seconds pass. Silence. Nobody speaks. They're staring at you, waiting for you to break, but you don't move. Something tightens in your chest. You want to respond, but something stops you. Then you say just one thing: are you done? And in that moment, the power in the room shifts, because people realize something, that making you angry doesn't work, that 3 seconds of silence was not an accident. And when I tell you exactly what happened in the brain, everything will change. Control is not about not losing yourself. It's about knowing when to hold back. And that difference changes everything. This response isn't willpower. It's biology. And the people who do it consistently have actually rewired something in their brain. Here's how it started. Calm under pressure usually doesn't start in adulthood. For most people who carry it naturally, it started in an environment where chaos was the baseline. A home where moods shifted without warning. A childhood where you learned to read the room before you learned to read a book. When your nervous system grows up inside unpredictability, it does one of two things. Either it collapses into anxiety, or it builds a very specific kind of tolerance. Psychologists call this stress inoculation, small repeated exposures to difficulty that gradually raise your threshold for what counts as a threat. So that calm-looking person probably didn't live a calm life. They just spent so much time inside chaos that the brain started processing it as normal. But here's the fascinating part. The same childhood creates two completely different people. It destroys one, it builds another. And there is one single thing that determines which one you become. We're getting there. You are 8 years old. Sounds are coming from the kitchen. Again, you already know what to do. You go to your room. You close the door. You open your book, but you're not reading. You're just waiting for the storm to pass. That night you didn't cry. You just noticed. That silence is sometimes the most powerful response. That spending energy on things you can't control is pointless. And that being able to wait is one of the rarest skills there is. And that child grew up, walked into meeting rooms, managed crises. But inside, there is still that 8-year-old closing the door. Behind every calm moment. Calm is not learned from books. It is earned through experience. And most of the time, by passing through a place nobody wanted to go. So what does this actually give them? First, they make better decisions under pressure. High cortisol blocks the prefrontal cortex. Calm people aren't smarter. They just have more of their brain available when it matters. Second, they observe everything. While others are talking, they are listening. While others are reacting, they are noticing. Who is tense? Who is uncertain? Who is about to break? This is a power, silent but real. Third, they create trust. You know they won't collapse. You know they won't explode. And in uncertain situations, that is incredibly rare. But there is something hidden right at the center of this power. And even the people closest to them don't see it. They don't even notice it themselves most of the time. There is a weight these people carry in silence. Something they never talk about because nobody ever asks. And that weight, over time, quietly erodes even the strongest people. Being the calm one comes with a price. When you're always the person who holds everything together, people stop checking if you're okay. They just assume you are. And sometimes calm is not regulation. It's exhaustion wearing the mask of composure. There is a thin line between someone who has processed their stress and someone who has simply learned to hide it so well that even they can no longer see the difference. Psychologists call this emotional suppression fatigue. The body keeps the score, even when the face gives nothing away. And the most dangerous moment is when that person who always looks strong disappears one day without any warning. So how do you tell the difference between the two? If you are that person, how will you know which side you're on? Friday, 4:47 p.m. You saw the client's email. Contract cancelled. Everyone on your team has grabbed their phone. Someone is crying. Someone is talking about quitting. You picked up your coffee, walked to the window. 2 minutes. Silence. You did nothing. There's something inside you. Not panic, but wait. But you don't show it to anyone because you no longer know how to show it. Then you turned around. Okay, What's the best thing we can do right now? Nobody asked, "Are you okay?" Because everyone already assumed you were. And maybe you are, maybe you're not. But nobody asked. Silence is not weakness. Most of the time, it is a side effect of the minds that think the most. Calm under pressure is not the absence of feeling, not coldness, not distance. It is the quiet victory of a nervous system that has seen enough, waited enough, and been through enough to know that most fires, if you don't feed them, go out on their own. And in a noisy world, the most dangerous people are usually the quietest ones. If this touched something in you, you probably already know why. The next video goes even deeper into the people who learn to feel everything and show nothing. Click it. You'll recognize yourself in the first 30 seconds.